Our next question sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Ali in Mashhad, Iran. I would like to ask you...
Is this for real?
I have no reason to doubt it.
Can they even listen to us in Iran?
Actually, they can listen to us around the world, wherever you want. I could see if we're charting in Iran. I could check that.
Iran so far away.
Well, here's Ali's question. I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Iranian legend, the Iron Sheik? Where would you rank him amongst the best heels in history? How good of a wrestler do you think he was? And who does better suplexes? The Iron Sheik or Kurt Angle?
Well, see, but now that's a present tense. Who does the best ones now? Angle probably by a significant amount because Sheik's fucking 80. But if we're talking, at their various primes in their careers, here's the thing. A lot of people did not see the Iron Sheik wrestle until he became the WWF 1984 on version of the Iron Sheik. And at that point, he'd already been in the business close to 15 years, and he got in the business late. Look up on the Google machine there and see what Sheik's age is, because he started in 70, 71, or was he was in the training camp with Flair, so 71, 72.
He's 79 years old. He was born in 42.
Okay, so he was already 30 years old by the time he was training. So he was 10 years older than most guys when they got started to begin with. And I know people have seen the old pictures of him when he had the washboard abs and he was, 210 pounds and had hair and everything. I saw him as a near rookie. He worked Tennessee as Ali Vaziri in probably late 73, early 74. I saw him on TV doing jobs for guys. But then, what was it, between 76 and 77, there was a massive change in his appearance. That's when he got heavy also, as well as getting the first Iron Sheik gimmick, which was Hussein Arab?
The Great Hussein Arab.
The Great Hussein Arab. And then he worked Dallas, and he worked a few places with that gimmick. And I think then he had, who was he with his run in the Carolinas? Was he still Hussein Arab? I'm trying to think.
I think he became the Iron Sheik in the Carolinas. He was the Iron Sheik.
Okay, did he go? He may have gone there as the Iron Sheik rather than going in as Hussein Arab and then whatever. And there was also, he was a goddamn, there was another name that he used in one territory in Texas, Farouk. Was Farouk?
Oh, yeah, you know what? When he was in Dallas in, I want to say, late 77, early 78. I have those programs here. Muhammad Farouk, that's right.
Yeah. So the point is, he was a skinny job guy with hair and nondescript, just a Middle East type of guy. Then he gained weight, shaved the head, got the handlebar mustache, and tried to start figuring out the Middle Eastern heel Sheik-like gimmick. And finally, after a couple of years, the Iron Sheik from 79 to 83 there, right before he went to the WWF, he was not only good in the ring, but he projected an element of danger. You were convinced this guy was nuts when he came to Tennessee in 82. He's doing more of the heavy violence than was ever allowed the Iron Sheik to be done in the WWF. One night he's got a match with Ron Bass. It was some kind of no rules match. It wasn't a street fight or whatever, but he pulled a goddamn, this was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It looks from a distance like a butcher knife, but it's got a wooden handle and it's a flat metal blade and you use it to frost a cake.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay, but he pulls this thing out of his fucking boot and he starts sawing it across Ron Bass's forehead, and Ron Bass gets the color, and it looked in the cheap seats like a butcher knife that he's pulled out of his boot. And he's doing all that chaos stuff, but he's also throwing in the suplexes. And his double arm suplex, he picked guys up higher and put them down, but he was strong, and plus he was an incredible amateur. That's where the whole thing about him being a bodyguard for the Shah of Iran was a shoot. Him being an amateur Iranian army champion wrestler was a shoot. And when he came over to this country, he was a clean living guy, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do any drugs. And then he got in the wrestling business, like I said. And then from all of the drugs and the drinking and the debauchery and all of the American way of life, he gained the weight, got the gimmick. And, you know, he wasn't Jack Briscoe as a wrestler. As far as being a pro, he had the amateur background, but the gimmick, it caused him to do more of the violent stuff. And the Iron Sheik was, you know, a feared heel until he goes up to work for Vince. They didn't do as much violence, didn't do as much juice. And they caught, by then, 1984, you just said the Sheik was in his early 40s and he's already gaining weight. And he goes to a company where, especially in the 80s, unless you wanted to work hard and tear things up in the ring, they went more on sizzle and steak. So what people most remember of the Iron Sheik is that period of time where, you know, nobody thinks any of those matches are classics. But he was already in his 40s by that point, and he was working the gimmick. And, you know, but his best matches in ring were from the time he first started fiddling with the gimmick, Hussein, Arab, Abdullah Farouk, whatever, until he went to work for Vince. At that point, he's in his early 40s, and they changed it. And it wasn't as violent or, you know, off the beaten path as it was the previous times. And then he got older.